Did you know the NFL Draft actually used to look like this? Now, it's a 3-day event that has us glued to our screens with just as much drama as your favorite Netflix show.
Who just jumped on the scene in college football and took college football by storm. He earned it.
I don't understand what the heck's going on with this.
Tonight, for Shedeur Sanders, this is a time for some deep self-reflection.
We are talking players having their social media accounts hacked during the draft to have them fall, teams trading away every single pick for just one player, Ricky Williams, and future Hall of Famers being overlooked left and right. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back to 1935, when the NFL was struggling to survive, and Philadelphia Eagles owner Bert Bell proposed a crazy idea that would completely change professional football. See, back in the 1930s, college football was king. Rich teams like the Chicago Bears and New York Giants simply bought up all the best college players, while broke teams like Bert Bell's Philadelphia Eagles were left in the dust. Bert Bell knew something had to change for the NFL to survive. On May 18, 1935, during a league meeting at Fort Pitt Hotel in Pittsburgh, he had an idea. What if teams picked college players in reverse order of their standings? The worst team would get first pick, and the champions would pick last. Today, this seems obvious, but back then, it was kind of mind-blowing. It gave the bad teams a fighting chance. The other owners immediately saw the potential and unanimously approved it. In 1936, they held the very first NFL draft with 9 rounds and 81 total picks. For that first draft, teams just gathered in a hotel room. Most players didn't even know they'd been drafted, and when they found out, many chose completely different careers. Only 24 of the original 81 picks actually joined the league. The Eagles, after finishing dead last the previous season, made the first ever NFL draft selection. Heisman Trophy winner Jay Berwanger from the University of Chicago. But Berwanger never played a single down in the NFL, choosing a business career instead. His choice to skip the NFL showed just how little appeal the league had back then. Pro football salaries were just too low. After the first 9-round draft in 1936, the league quickly bumped it up to 10 rounds in 1937. By 1939, as teams grew and the league became more stable, the draft expanded to 20 rounds. The draft stayed massive for decades, and at one point even went up to 32 rounds. But in 1977, it was finally reduced to 12, then 8 rounds in 1993, and the 7 we all know and love in 1994. Things got crazy in 1959 when a group of businessmen, fed up with being denied NFL franchises, created the rival American Football League. Suddenly, the NFL wasn't the only game in town, and its grip on incoming talent was seriously threatened. With 2 leagues fighting over the same pool of college stars, the once simple draft turned into a complete free-for-all. Top prospects suddenly had bargaining power they'd never had before, playing the leagues against each other to land massive contracts. This competition led to some desperate tactics from both sides. The Houston Oilers pulled off one of the boldest moves in the AFL-NFL war when owner Bud Adams cornered LSU star Billy Cannon right on the field after the 1960 Sugar Bowl. Despite Cannon already signing with the NFL's Rams months earlier, Adams offered a better deal plus a Cadillac for Cannon's dad. When it went to court, the judge sided with the AFL, and the ruling made Cannon the first $100,000 football player in history. This talent war raged through the 1960s, driving players' salaries so high that both leagues were bleeding money. By 1966, the financial strain was so bad that the leagues finally worked out a merger agreement which fully kicked in by 1970. Throughout the 70s, the draft would quietly remain the building block for championship teams without getting much publicity. In 1980, however, a struggling cable network called ESPN changed NFL draft history forever. Yeah, at that time, the network was only about a year old, and they were hungry for content. They approached the NFL with a strange idea. They wanted to broadcast the entire draft live. League officials thought it was crazy. I mean, who would want to watch executives reading names off of a list for hours? Even so, on April 29, 1980, ESPN aired the NFL Draft live for the first time, with young Chris Berman hosting the show.
Hello and welcome to the New York Sheraton Hotel's Grand Ballroom, the site of the 1980 National Football League College Player Draft.
At first, not many people watched, but the audience grew each year as fans realized they could see their team's future take shape in real time. The NFL started embracing its entertainment value, moving to bigger venues and spreading it across multiple days. Another huge change came in 1982, when the NFL created the National Invitational Camp, now known as the NFL Scouting Combine. For the first time, Draft prospects gathered in one place, initially Tampa, before moving to Indianapolis in 1987 for full-on testing of their skills. And back then, it was pretty cutthroat, with teams spying, using stalling tactics, and much more to try and secure meetings. Scouts no longer had to wonder if a player's reported 40 time was legit, or if it was measured on a fast track with the wind at his back. Today, the Combine has turned into a full-blown media spectacle that dominates the headlines every year. Players train for months just for these drills, and 1/10 of a second in the 40-yard dash could very well mean gaining millions of dollars or losing it. But even so, scouting was hard. It still is today, so you can imagine what it was like back then. The NFL had a problem. They were paying the top picks tons of money, but it was incredibly hard to work out if they would actually be good. Even with the Combine's testing and bigger scouting departments, teams kept making awful draft mistakes way too often. This era gave us some of the biggest draft busts in football history. The Green Bay Packers took offensive tackle Tony Mandarich with the 2nd overall pick in 1989, passing up future Hall of Famers Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders. Sports Illustrated had called Mandarich the best offensive line prospect ever and put him on their cover as the Incredible Bulk, but he was a huge flop. You've got Todd Marinovich, nicknamed Robo-QB because his dad had him trained intensely since childhood. He was drafted by the Raiders in 1991, but fell apart due to drug problems. Blair Thomas, the 2nd overall pick in 1990, never even rushed for 750 yards in a season, and quarterback Rick Mirer, the 2nd pick in 1993, never developed into the star the Seahawks thought they were getting. But perhaps the best example is the 1998 draft with Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf.
Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf.
Two can't-miss rookie quarterbacks.
Both have potential to be stars for a long, long time.
Experts had them neck and neck, but we all know how that turned out. Leaf signed a $31.25 million contract, and his $11.25 million signing bonus was the largest ever for a rookie at the time. But it was Peyton Manning who became one of the GOATs. Rookie contracts got so out of hand that unproven college players were often among the highest paid guys on the team before playing a single down. Just look at Matthew Stafford. When he was drafted 1st overall in 2009, he signed a rookie deal worth $72 million, with $41.7 million guaranteed. The league finally addressed the rookie salary problem in the 2011 collective bargaining agreement by introducing a rookie wage scale. It meant no more $50 million guaranteed to unproven rookies. Now, 1st overall picks would sign for about a quarter of what they got before, with every rookie's contract essentially predetermined by draft position. The draft has had some weird moments, like the 2020 draft, when the pandemic forced the NFL to go completely virtual. Instead of gathering in Las Vegas, Commissioner Goodell announced picks from his basement. Team executives worked from makeshift war rooms in their homes. GMs juggled draft boards, video calls, and phone lines while family members tried to stay out of the way. Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury went viral lounging in his ultra-modern home that looked like a luxury resort, while Cowboys owner Jerry Jones made picks from his $250 million yacht. My personal favorite was Bill Belichick's dog. It looked like it was making draft picks when Belichick left his seat. The 2020 virtual draft became the most watched draft in NFL history, but the biggest drama has got to be when players flat out refuse to play for the team that's about to draft them. In 1983, John Elway made it pretty clear that he wouldn't put on a Baltimore Colts uniform if they picked him 1st overall. He told them he'd just go and play baseball instead, and he wasn't bluffing. Elway had already spent some time with the New York Yankees after they drafted him in 1981. On draft day, the Colts selected him anyway, creating a pretty awkward standoff. Baltimore finally caved, trading him to Denver. And 2 decades later, Eli Manning followed the same playbook. In 2004, he publicly warned the San Diego Chargers not to draft him, but the Chargers called his bluff, selecting him 1st overall. This time, the drama only lasted 45 minutes before San Diego sent him to the New York Giants in exchange for Phillip Rivers and 3 additional draft picks. While teams across the league were trying to get smarter about drafting players, one franchise decided to do something so extreme it would go down as the most insane deal ever. The 1999 draft became famous for New Orleans Saints coach Mike Ditka's all-or-nothing gamble. He became obsessed with Texas running back Ricky Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner who had broken the NCAA career rushing record. The Saints traded their 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks in 1999, their whole draft, plus their 1st and 3rd round picks in 2000. 8 draft picks for one player. The trade was so crazy that ESPN the magazine put it on their cover with a photo of Ditka as a groom with Williams as his bride, complete with wedding dress and veil.
And now music to the ears of Mike Ditka in New Orleans as it is about to be made official.
With the 5th pick in the draft, the New Orleans Saints select
And while Ricky Williams wasn't exactly a bust for the Saints, it took going to Miami for him to really shine. Of course, the NFL Draft has had its fair share of scandals too, and these days, a lot of it comes through social media. Like on April 28th, 2016, just minutes before the first round began, Ole Miss offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil's world completely fell apart.
He sat silently in the green room at the Roosevelt Theater with a stunned expression on his face, living out a surreal nightmare.
Someone had hacked his Twitter account and posted a video of him wearing a gas mask with a bong attachment. Yeah, the video was years old, but its timing couldn't have been worse. In draft rooms across the league, executives who had Tunsil ranked among the top prospects huddled in emergency meetings, debating whether to change their draft boards. As millions watched live, Tunsil's freefall began. Previously projected as high as the first overall pick, he dropped out of the top 5, then the top 10. The Miami Dolphins finally picked him 13th overall. But for pure drama, you can't really beat the infamous 2005 draft, when Aaron Rodgers had an even bigger fall. The number 1 pick was a toss-up that year between him and Alex Smith, but Rodgers, he fell and fell and fell, and the camera caught every moment.
Forget living his dream. Aaron Rodgers was about to endure a nightmare. The question now was simple. How long would Aaron Rodgers have to wait?
Of course, the Packers got him with the 24th pick, and the rest is history. But the biggest story in NFL draft history has got to be this. A skinny quarterback from the University of Michigan sat waiting for a phone call that wouldn't come until the 6th round. Yeah, I'm talking about Tom Brady.
At the combine, when you watch Tom, you saw this tall, gangly looking kid, looked like having ever seen a weight room. Ran a 5.2 something. One of the slowest quarterbacks in the combine. Does he wow you throwing the ball? There were some other guys that could shoot it, and he had just an okay arm.
Pick number 199 overall, he was selected by the New England Patriots as a project player, a backup to their starter Drew Bledsoe. Scouts picked apart his skinny frame, average arm strength, and lack of mobility. His pre-draft scouting report described him as having poor build and lacks great physical stature and strength. Nobody, not Brady, not Patriots coach Bill Belichick, not the other 31 teams who passed on him repeatedly, could have guessed that he would become the greatest quarterback in NFL history. And that's it, the entire story of the NFL Draft. Today's draft looks nothing like those early hotel conference room meetings. Cities across America now fight for hosting rights, knowing the event will bring hundreds of thousands of visitors and generate millions in tourism dollars. What started as Burt Bell's simple solution to imbalance has grown into one of the biggest events on our sports calendar, as fans watch their teams literally pick their future.